Friends, happy 20th day of VlogVent. I don't want to say pleasure, right? Like the distinct pleasure, but maybe honor is the right word of being in a room yesterday with a family when they removed life support from a loved one. And the loved one that was preparing to meet Jesus, was a special needs young man. He was a teenager, nonverbal, at least at this point. And, there's this sometimes in my job, I get these opportunities to be in spaces and places with people in moments of great joy and moments of great grief. And I hold those moments so precious. It's such a gift, and to sit with folks. And I think most of us would hear this situation, a teenager who has special needs, who is dying, and our hearts fill with great sadness. I felt this call, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the Spirit and listening for the Spirit and what the Spirit can do for us and in us. And I felt this deep call to go to the hospital yesterday to be with this family. This honestly was not a family I'd ever met in person, only met through online ministry, but felt like the Spirit was pushing me to get there. When I got there, I couldn't get in the door to the ICU, and the mom was like running towards the door to let me in, and she wrapped me in a hug, and she said, "I have to tell you, God has filled my life with peace." My husband and I feel great peace about the decision that has had to be made for our son. And so I got to be in the room, and I don't want to share too many details with you, but we think like, oh my gosh, what a terrible situation. And it is. It's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching to see mom and a dad have to say goodbye. But I also want to share, right? I sat right here today because this pink candle is one we usually say is the candle of joy. The pink. And there is this moment of faith, right, where we both can say, I sit in a place that's hard and I don't understand. And yet, because I know who God is and I know what God can do and he can do impossible things, and I know that Jesus is with my son, and I know Jesus is going to walk my son into the glory of the life that is to come, and I know my son will walk and talk and dance and sing. There was, while grief, there was also joy. And it's almost impossible to understand. So often in faith, there's these opposite things that sit next to each other that we think those two things don't belong together, and yet it's exactly the most true thing in the world. So the scripture today, Jesus has been up on the mountaintop, and his disciples have had this amazing experience where they witness Elijah and Moses and Jesus talking, and God reconfirming Jesus's call to ministry. This is my son, do what he says. And then they're coming down the mountain, and Mark tells us that the disciples do not understand any of it. They say, we don't understand. And one of the things they've learned on top of the mountain is that Jesus would have to suffer. And they say, we don't understand. Why would you have to suffer? And I think we ask that question a lot as human beings. Why are things so hard? Why would a mom and a dad have to say goodbye to their teenage son? Why would a child be born with such disabilities? Why does a mom get cancer? Why do innocent people die in war, right? We can ask all the questions, and yet the truth is right in the midst of all the brokenness in the world, there is Jesus right there. And so I was in the room yesterday when they removed life support, and while there were tears shed even by me, there was also this deep sense of God's presence right there in the midst of suffering. I think the Spirit was more present than I've ever experienced in my whole life, right in the midst. So I think sometimes we say we don't understand, and Jesus doesn't answer their question right then, right? He pretty much says, wait and see. Jesus' suffering would result in great joy as he rose from the dead. You know, Mary accepting a call that was beyond hard, or Joseph accepting to be a father of a child that was not his, or even the wise men crossing, miles and miles searching for something they didn't know, right? That's hard. And yet what they found on the other side was more beautiful than they could imagine. So I just invite you, wherever you are in life, whatever you're dealing with, because all of us are dealing with hard things in different ages, stages, and ways. How could it be that God is the most present in the hardest spaces? How could it be that the things that seem so maybe so full of suffering and pain might be the very place that God could meet you in the most real way? So I share this with you that maybe in the midst of hard things, you might still find joy. Tomorrow night is the longest night service, and here at our church at Hickory in Chesapeake, Virginia. So on the 21st, it's the longest night of the year. We will live stream that. So I'm going to put in a link in the comments or in the description box so that if you maybe are going through some hard stuff and you would like just a sense of hope, that you could join us for worship. It'll be at 7 p.m. that it live stream, but it'll be on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel forever. So you can check that out, and you'll see the link there in the description box. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and may you find, even in the midst of your own pieces of suffering, that God's presence and God's goodness and God's joy is available to you. Happy VlogVent, and I will see you again tomorrow.